Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. It is the first challenge of the month over at the CKC group, which I am on the design team for if you don't know that already. I try to do as many of the activities and challenges along the way as I can during the month. So let's dive into this one, which is to use a group photo and point out a single person in that photo. So I pulled out these photos of my daughter's Shakespeare class, and they were studying Taming of the Shrew this time around, and that's going to lead into some of my design elements when I get there. So this is the group photo, and I'm going to point out my daughter in that photo, and then I do have a secondary photo that is largely her, but she's still in the kind of the background of the photo. That was the playbill from the show that the parents got to come and see once the kids had had everything prepared. Now, I had experimented with this star paper, and I haven't shown it anywhere because it didn't come out quite how I expected. But I stuck it in my kit anyway, and if you're new to my kit builds and embellishment creations and stuff, I will put some information down below. I thought I might use that star paper, but then this is where I decided to go with the Taming of the Shrew theme. And I did pull out a few other elements, and I got my title going on so that you wouldn't have to sit and watch me do all of that. And that black piece of paper I'm going to use for matting. Now, this energetic, colorful piece of paper is going to be the energy of the character in the story who is the shrew. And then this calmer green paper is going to be the tame part of the story. So I am going to put this paper on an angle, and it was just an idea that popped into my head. I didn't really have any other good reason for doing it than that. I haven't done kind of an angled layout in a while. I've seen a few kind of semi-angled layouts here and there around, and so I just felt like it was time to do one. So no big story there, just I wanted to. As I was cutting off those back pieces of paper, I did decide that the B-side of that green paper would be a great element to add to the edges of this angle, partially because it lends into the harshness of the shrew, and I'm actually going to use that same paper in a future video for you, because that paper reminds me of kind of a lizardy, snaky pattern. So stay tuned next week for that story. At any rate, I am outlining some of these elements with my black pen because I like to do that to give it just a little bit more pop. Now, outlining this black pen on top of that black matting paper may be not such a practical idea, but it adds a very slight element there. Okay, this is how I'm going to do my title. And when I overlap my photos, one photo corner is going to point to my daughter in the second photo corner. Oh, and these little puffy stickers have kind of that curse element to it, and I'm going to use those on this layout. I tell you, I did not know what I was going to do with those stickers, but I found a good layout for them. And I'm just kind of color blocking some of those elements up there on that paper that's going to kind of be embellishing around my title. And speaking of embellishing, I have started creating some clusters here. But I shifted gears a little bit because I wanted to not forget to point out the one particular person in these photos. So that's my daughter. And I'm going to use these Pink Fresh chipboard frames to go ahead and highlight her. This was all of them standing up there doing a part of the show where they came to their notes so that they could get through the whole show. They don't have a long enough, it's a 10-week term, so they didn't have a long enough term to both study the play and then to fully memorize everything. So this was their in-between performance of the reading. So I had been very indecisive about these word elements that I had pulled out, and I liked the tag element, but I liked the word sentiment on this one better. So I turned it into a tag, and I just used one of the other tags as a guide to trim it down into that shape. And then I used one of my favorite punches to get the little circle part of the tag going. And that makes me happy, so I was able to get that in there. And again, I'm tucking these photos together so that that point goes that way. Now, this little tag is going to hang off the edge, and I will trim that down, but I get enough of the tag shape that I think it's still going to work okay. And as I'm putting my clusters together, I am trying to, at first when I was doing this, I had a lot of words going on, and I kind of cut some of that out because I really needed to pare it down, and I didn't want to take up too much of your time watching me hem and haw and, change my mind about a bunch of things. So I am trying to get some words in each of the clusters. This pink element here looks like a ticket, so I thought that was great for the story of, kind of a show. I am wanting to carry some colors through, so that left-hand cluster had some bluey green color in it, so I used a tiny, tiny sticker of bluey green in the right-hand cluster. I do have some florals going on in this upper cluster, so I wanted to make sure I had some kind of foliage or florals in all the clusters, so I get that going on there. Let's see. Again, I'm looking at the colors in the various clusters, so I kind of changed up some things. And then this little tag had another little saying on it that I really liked. And it's starting to overhang the area where my title is going to go. So I am going to switch gears and make sure I get that title down. Oh, I was moving a sticker, but it was stuck to the photo. And while I got most of the sticky off, it still left a little bit of residue. So I'm going to have to fix that. In the meantime, I put it on a backing so that I could continue to move it around. Now you'll see my black dispenser of temporary adhesive, which I'm doing for a lot of my embellishments at this point because this is a process of changing my mind and moving things around. Okay, I made sure everything was attached because I accidentally picked up some excess things on my transfer tape here, and I didn't want to get that in the way. So a little bit of extra glue on those thickers because they never stay put as is. And I will go ahead and get my title on there. Now I ran out of R's, so I am converting this letter B into an R. And as I'm working on trying to cut chipboard apart with a pair of scissors, which in a small space is a little tricky. And at first I thought, okay, it's pretty good. I want to trim it down just a little bit more. And once I trimmed off that final little bit, I didn't like it because now it really does look like a funky bee. So what I did was, with that little tag embellishment that was running into my title anyway, I covered up most of my mistake. But I'm trying to leave enough of the letter there that your brain will still read the full word. And because you have enough of the letters leaning up, you already know it's going to say Shakespeare. So the actual shape of those final letters don't matter to our brains. So covering it up worked just fine. All right, I am fussing around with a few more little bits and pieces. You can see I finished up my little circular elements up there by my title, and I just kind of color block those with the stripes behind it. I am filling out a little bit more embellishing to the beginning of that title, which says studying, and then around the corner says Shakespeare. And I found a few more bits and pieces that I like. Now I did pull in a gold element for that part, which is a little kind of paperclip item. So I'm going to add some more gold elements to the other embellishment clusters so that we've got that going on. That little rainbow stripe, can't see it very well, but it does have a gold stripe in there. I'm looking for a final little gold bit for that other cluster, and I found a little bit of gold foliage. And then here is where I'm permanently gluing everything down because, like I said, I was using that temporary adhesive, and I want to make sure that nothing falls apart later down the road in life, and that final glue will get on there. And then here is where I'm adding a little bit more of a carryover color and shape and texture element to every single cluster so that pulls the cohesiveness in. So let's see, what else have I got? Oh, I missed a gold element down there in that cluster. I thought the foliage was gold, but now I remember that it was a little heart element that I added that was gold. And then a couple teeny tiny little sprinkly bits so that the scale of all of those circles up there kind of step down. Let me see if I can explain this better. It's like a fading away effect. I've mentioned this a little bit in another video where you have elements that start larger and get smaller and smaller until they kind of fade away. So that's what I was going for. In the meantime, I am creating this pocket on the back of this layout, which I used to do all the time to keep extra journaling notes on the back of my layouts. But I haven't been keeping those as much lately. But this is a great place to put all of that physical memorabilia that you want to keep with a layout. So the playbook, the program from the little show can go in the back there, and it has some of the kids' original artwork that they used because they helped put together these programs as well as studying the play. So that pocket makes a great little place to tuck that. I'm reinforcing my tape with a little bit extra glue because that is a much thicker program than what I would normally put in these pockets. So I have that pocket all done. I also have went ahead and add my journaling. I've got the date on the top of this photo. And then there wasn't a lot of room for journaling, so I did my journaling around an edge, which I do often, but this particular angled edge on this layout made a great spot for that. And that finishes off the layout. So I will leave you with a couple of close-up photos. I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you ever want to join us over in the activities on the CKC group, all the information for our group is down below. We're a fun, friendly, totally free group to help you use up the scrapbooking supplies that you have on hand through fun kit building and challenges throughout the month. All right, I will be back. Let's see, today... I think I'll be back next week with some more videos for you. So until then, have an artful day.